Southeast Fish Program Manager for the Ocean Conservancy, our office here in St. Petersburg, and all that is sort of a fancy way of saying I research and monitor the activities of the fishery management councils that service this region, so from North Carolina around through Texas. And Ocean Conservancy looks at overfishing as one of the primary issues affecting the health of our oceans, and we look at these by the regions of the federal fishery management councils. Every year we put together an overfishing scorecard that looks at how well the regions have done in areas like ending overfishing and restoring depleted fish stocks. And unhappily, I can report to you that we are not doing very well. The good news is we've had national legislation passed in the last couple of years that gives us an opportunity to move the ball many, many yards down the field here in the United States. And some of us, like Tom Wheatley and I, are now charged with on the ground making sure we do that stuff, which is no small task. But that's just to say a little bit about why I'm standing here. Now, talking more overreaching about marine food security, there's two components, right? There's your wild capture fisheries, and then there are farmed fish or aquaculture fisheries. And just like in the wild capture fisheries, there are ways you can pursue that activity in a sustainable manner. There are also ways in farmed fisheries to pursue that in a sustainable manner. And Ocean Conservancy, along with a number of other groups nationally, are leading the charge to pursue legislation to put regulations in place that will ensure that our environment isn't harmed by the production of farmed fish as possible. And so we're hoping to get some legislation through in this Congress that may be, again, foolishly optimistic, but looking at in terms of securing the water quality and the health of the ocean environment with farmed fishing as a possibility within that larger sustainable ocean idea. And so how does one make this possible? Well, we go at it from a number of different ways, where we view our sort of fishery stakeholders in a larger context as opposed to just those, I guess they'd be fish hunters, not tree hunters, that participate in our organization as members, but we look at the wider stakeholders of fishermen, from the guys who catch your grouper sandwich up at French's docks in Clearwater, through to the seafood buyer, the small business that I'm sure are here around the causeway, but also folks like Publix, enormous buyers of seafood. Everyone has a stake in the sustainability of this industry, whether it's just their recreation, like Tom and I are fisher people ourselves, or if it's your business like Publix or a seafood owner or a fisherman. It's in everyone's best interest to have sustainable fisheries. So, but you can't have that if it's not predicated on a healthy ocean, which is why all of these issues are really important. But just in terms of engaging the sort of larger community of stakeholders, that's the way Ocean Conservancy chooses to pursue marine food security and ending overfishing in U.S. waters. And I'm going to give you just one interesting example of some neat ways that you can use fisheries advocacy and policy to improve international fisheries. I did my master's work in Brazil in the spiny lobster fishery, which is grossly overfished because there are incredible incentives to fish out smaller and smaller lobster, about 98% of which is exported to the United States. So the United States has no way to check everything that comes into the country, and so these short lobsters are being sold to restaurants, are being sold wherever, without much legislation and regulation, except the fishery management councils can regulate not just the harvest of a species like spiny lobster here in South Florida, but also the possession of. So they all got together and said, well, we're going to say you cannot harvest or possess a lobster tail smaller than the U.S. size limit, which allows a lobster to breed twice, I believe, before it's subject to capture. And that regulation just went through with the support of Ocean Conservancy, fishing groups, etc. And so it's closed this loophole, and that has a profound impact on the lobster fisheries of the Caribbean and the sort of northern South America where spiny lobsters are found. And that's just one instance of how working through the policy and regulatory side of the United States can dramatically impact the sustainability of food security of places like Brazil and other areas that harvest things like spiny lobster. I am swiftly driving right over my 5 minutes, but I'll just give a quick plug for the importance of things like habitat to fisheries. Everybody needs a home, right? So things like coral reef protections and marine protected areas we are keenly interested in pursuing. Politically, that's a bit of a tough item here in this region. You'll note that our two enormous marine protected areas are out where there's not a large fishing constituency. And so that's just one more hurdle. but I would argue it's one more reason to have a larger community of fishery stakeholders engaged on discussion of the issues. With that, thank you all for coming.
Thank you very much for the Coming to place like this, I learned a lot of things. Every now and then I throw away like have a great impact. For the first time I've heard about 3 huggers of the sea. I've been told a lot of things in my time, ladies and gentlemen, but never 3 huggers of the sea. It's an interesting concept, but quite seriously, the work you're doing is extremely valuable. I believe that we need to develop a new kind of seafood interest in what we're ingesting, how we approach. And one thing I'd advise, you never have seafood dinner with Noel Brown. He has a little machine that he waits until you order, and your order is in. And then look at what you've ordered and discover that it's high in mercury. He knows how to ruin a meal. But there are such things that really gives you a sense of really what you're ingesting, what you're ordering, and it just might not be about any notice. Because you're contributing. Those of us who are consumers should have a new kind of consumer ethic for sustainability of the marine environment. And that is up to us to do it. And I would hope that we may get a little bit more action on that front. The fishers advocates are really quite important. I hope their voices can be heard. And I think you're going about it the right way by getting stakeholders on side. We talk to fishermen, and they want sustainability. Otherwise, their livelihoods are at stake. It's not in their interest to overfish everything. So that's something I think we need to know about. And again, to its credit, the U.S. has asserted some leadership in sustainability, despite the lobbies and despite the fact that we have much more capacity than we have fish. You introduced for the first time the turtle exclusion device for the shrimp industry. That was a U.S. initiative. I know we did to you. We dragged it to the World Trade Organization about restraint of trade. Here's an initiative by the U.S. government to protect the turtle, the sea turtle, and they were dragged, I think it was by Indonesia and Philippines, to the World Trade Organization, that this actually was in restraint of trade. So sometimes you're trying to do good, and you get in trouble with the law. But that's a really good example that there are opportunities here for you to do. Thank you for your presentation.